Cool. So today what I wanted to do was basically continue what we worked on yesterday, but I got a really cool PR in uh, that has some logos, which I thought was kind of fun. So somebody, well, issue. I got somebody open an issue with these. So there's just some standard blueprint kind of stuff that you would think of, but I thought this was pretty cool. That, of course, just something to put on the GitHub page or the documentation page or whatever. So if you have any, thoughts on this or design ideas of your own or elements to implement, I think these are, a fun little start. So feel free to jump out on this issue number 23, and leave your comments or thumbs up or thumbs down or whatever you think. Of course, you're welcome to throw them in the chat during the live stream, but again, I thought those were pretty fun. Just kind of, again, just all things to kind of give it a little momentum, make it feel like really put together and like a real, thing, a real tool that's out there. So I think this could be cool. So yeah, I definitely liked both of them. Kind of like personally, I like the lines in the second one here, but this first one, kind of like the dotted, the dashed, blueprint more than the caps, I think. So I think it's pretty cool. Maybe yeah, maybe like a mix and match of both, a little more like graph papery, and maybe tone that blue down just a tiny bit. Um, but I think all this could be really cool. So yeah. Uh, but yeah. Anyways, if you all are interested in that or do a little design work yourself, definitely take a look and see what you think. So again, issue number 23 out there on the GitHub repo. Okay, so a couple comments coming across. Yeah, again, definitely jump out there. Check those out. Can you share how you're able to have it automatically start your commands from the third line in the terminal? Oh, I'm assuming you mean like this. That's just me. That's just me hitting enter like 3 times and doing it super fast. It's just like muscle memory. So there's nothing fancy there. If you do want more space between your terminal, just as a tangent, you can edit your prompt, and you can change that to include a line break. So some people will have, the this on one line, and then immediately underneath it they have, the actual prompt where you would type your commands. So some people do like a 2-line prompt is the point. So you're welcome to check that out. I'm sure there's tons of articles on the web for doing that. But yeah, that's me just hitting enter like a lot. Okay, so anyways, let's get back into a little bit, but feel free to keep the questions coming across because I think today will be pretty light. Um, there's some other things, just general life stuff going on and other projects that need my focus today. So, but I wanted to keep the schedule of doing these in the afternoon, or afternoon for me, anyways. So we'll go about 30 minutes and see how far we get. So no particular goal today. We left off in a place though where everything was passing. So let's bring up the old PHP Stormsville, and let me close down some of these other things just to have the tab completion a little easier. Okay, so I think where we ended up yesterday was we just started like throwing in this post and post title, like all the order, order by, take, limit, offset. All these are just, they're kind of just in there. And I didn't really decide if I wanted to Lex them out or not. And by Lex them out, I mean like, do I want to have clauses here, like just all the clauses, or do I want to like start breaking these out into like where and order by and or order and take and all these different properties that would kind of mimic what the eloquent method API is. So I could do that for sure. I feel like that's a little bit of like a losing battle. Um, that would be a bit hard to do. Not hard to do. It's just a bit cumbersome, and I don't know how much value I would get from it because I'm only ever outputting these like together, right? So you're always just gonna basically split these on a colon, and the first one's basically the name of the eloquent method, and then the other part's the value, more or less. There's some fudging there, but so I guess all that is to say, I just feel like I don't really need this. So kind of just that Yagni bit that I was talking about the other day. So you're not going to need it, Yagni. So I just feel like I don't need those yet. So I'm going to say no to that, and I'm going to leave these alone and just kind of send this out. So with that said, the other nice thing by doing that is I don't really have to worry by parsing them into an array of like any kind of interesting things that would happen with multiple. It's just kind of like whatever order you send them in, that's how they're gonna get, read back out. So let's see here. So it returns a query, get statement. Yeah, cool. I think this is pretty fine. So we don't really need to do anything else here, I don't believe. Like this is the basics of this. So, and we already updated this. So I think what we can do now is go back to the controller generator and maybe write a few more query statements that are going to push this a bit farther. And I think most interestingly, um, gonna have to figure out this model and reference bit because that's a bit those are kind of required. So maybe let's take a second and figure this part out. Um, because when you send this query in, I need to know like what you're querying based on the context. And the context could either be nothing or unknown, or it's part of like this, can be inferred from like the where clause. So, I watched, as a tangent, I watched the first part of one of these videos the other day when I was editing it, and I realized I've been doing that all week. Like, I have no idea where that came from or why I started doing that. Um, it's like a totally like little filler there. I don't know. I don't know why I started doing that a bunch this week, but anyways. Um, so I need this context is really the long and the short of it. It could be inferred from this, but it's just probably uh, not something I care to really always infer from just that. So I guess the long and the short of it is I need the context from the controller that the statement is being parsed as, and that is just not possible here. This statement lexer, and it conforms to this contract, so I can't just go stuffing in like a context here because then everybody breaks. Okay, this is all a little abstract, so let's do this. Let's go back, like I said, to the controller generator, and let's open up the controller generator test, and let's get some more crazy queries happening that just kind of drive this out a bit more, because I'd really like to be in a place where I can call this kind of done, um, and then start writing individual tests to generate code for more specific things. So let's just write one more controller test just to kind of emphasize this problem. And I think once we do that, we'll kind of be able to see what's going on here. So let's do this. Let's do a definition and do like crazy queries. And let's have this be some kind of like query controller, or well, let's keep it the post controller. And let's do controller query. I'll just do crazy queries. Crazy queries. Cool. All right, so when we go and run this now, we're definitely have an exception because none of these exist. So let's hone this down to just that. So just these errors, and let's go make some of these. So first things first, let's go make a blueprint definition or fixture for these crazy queries. So let's do crazy queries. You know what? I'm going to call this crazy eloquent. Let's do that instead. Crazy eloquent. Awesome. Okay, so let's get more interesting here, and let's say something like where title, and let's do like another where content, and we'll order published at, and let's limit 5. Let's do something like that. So that's kind of crazy. The render's fine. Let's go to edit, and I'm going to do something like find ID. So what I'm trying to do here is like really push not only the things that we just made, so like a duplicate where, an order by, a limiting, and all that stuff, but also the editing is cool here with find. I thought that's kind of nice. And then let's just have it like do a render post.edit with post. Okay, so this is going to be another eloquent statement. Let's do something with like Pluck. That could be cool. So again, let's do an update. So let's do update. And what I'm going to do here is really just one that I would probably never end up using, but we'll just say redirect to post edit with post. I think that's fine. And then let's do a query. I don't know why I would do this, but let's just do where title. And then take 3 pluck ID. Let's just do something like that. I'm trying to think of any other like random queries that would help out. I don't think so. And okay, so since we're doing this, let's do like post.title and post.id, and then update's also going to have like update post or something like that. And then let's do find post.id. Let's do all this. Okay, so I think that's a pretty good smattering of kind of different eloquent queries. And so this will push the boundaries of some of the things that we've been writing lately in one of those kind of all-encompassing tests. And then I think the rest of them, I think I'll probably just commit this and honestly merge it and maybe go ahead and tag it as a beta. And then as more people try to generate things, I can write tests for the low-level statement classes by calling like unit tests, calling output directly to get the rest of it tweaked. But I think this is probably the last and final test that's really going to drive like figuring out this context the way we need to. So with that, let's run this again, and now we're going to have an issue because controller crazy queries does not exist. So first of all, we called this crazy eloquent. And let's go back to our controller, well, our controllers. And it'll look kind of like this. So I'm going to copy this and paste it, and we'll call it crazy eloquent. And it'll still be a post controller. We really should not need any of these other things. We should just need post and no mail facade. So it should look about like that. And then here's where we probably just want to go split screen for a second. Come on over here, join the party. There we go. All right, so get rid of the readme example, go back to crazy eloquent, and let's just start writing this the long way. So post should be post where, and this should effectively say title colon title. Now, this doesn't exist. That's okay. We're going to talk about that more later on. And then we should see another where. Content is content, and we have an order by, and we'll do published at, and then we'll do a limit. What was the limit? 5? 5. And then we'll do a get. Okay, so that's a nice long one there. The rest of this stays the same. We need a method for edit. I don't know why my mouse is doing that today. Okay, so this is all good. This is now going to be edit. Edit has a find, so this should simply just be post, post, find. Edit is interesting. Edit actually has to be smart enough to pass in the ID. So that's actually something else we didn't cover yet so far. Resourceful controllers. Interesting. Okay, anyways, we'll do this and we'll do ID, and there's nothing else that needs to happen here. And then we'll just compact post, and this will be edit. Awesome. All right, moving right along. This becomes update, and we'll do edit, and we'll paste that in there. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do find post ID with the ID. And now we're going to query something else. So we'll say something like posts equal. You know, it'd be really cool. It'd be really cool if I could like variable name that. I want to try to name that this post IDs. That would be cool. Post where title is title, and then we're going to limit 3 get Pluck ID. Close it down. All right, cool. And then we don't have any more of this stuff, but we do have a post update, I guess. The question is what goes in here. I don't know yet. I don't know how I feel about post update. That's kind of strange. I don't like update. You know what? I'm just going to call this save post. Let's do post save. Cool. And then we're going to redirect to post edit with index. That's interesting. Because really this route has to be like this. And there's kind of no such thing as that width. Very strange. Very strange. Render edit with post. Okay. There's a lot of assumptions I made writing this, but this is actually good because it's pushing kind of, again, those last little things that are left and that last bit of like developer experience I want Blueprint to have. So let's run this, and we're actually getting the rendered output now, and it's just a bit off. So the compacting of the post and the render statements and the redirect statements are pretty good. They're not perfect, but they're pretty good. And post create request all. That's interesting that save is doing that. So maybe I do need update. Let's do this. Let's put that back to the way it was. I think calling save is fine. But I actually do want to differentiate this between, well, crap. Save should kind of know. I feel like it should know contextually what to do. It should know if it's update that it's going to call post save. So I'm going to leave that save. I don't want to differentiate between the two. Okay, so let's go back to where we were, and let's start getting this test passing kind of from the top down. I heard some bleeps, so let's see what's going on. With the controller methods, edit, update, which consider model injection, maybe post v1. Yes, definitely. Yeah, again, kind of writing this last crazy eloquent cruddy bit. I definitely want to reward, I guess is probably a word to use, reward people for writing cruddy controllers. So again, Blueprint's all about being like, increasing developer experience, all about rapid development. And because it's so rapid, there's a balance between like the code that you use it for, that it generates, and then the code, of course, that you would write yourself. Like it's never going to have syntactic rules for like custom crazy logic. But the point being is that if you do cruddy methods and you name things with the Laravel conventions, like Blueprint's going to do that much more for you. Like you really don't have to write anything. In fact, I could easily see, something, maybe post v1, but I could easily see in Blueprint something where it's like controller and you maybe even just say something like model post or something, and that's it. Like it's a very special syntax, and like it knows to or maybe do something like resource post, right? And like this is a very special syntax that would actually expand out to be like index create, store, update, or edit, update, delete, and it just generates those all, with the assumption that you're gonna, save things, update things, query things, list things out, like all, pretty much all the things like Nova does, for like an admin panel. But of course, if you wanted to generate these for custom controllers, so I could definitely see something like that, like post v1, like a very fast follow with that kind of shorthand. So again, going to reward those for following resourceful controllers. And again, there's a lot of information we can kind of glean simply from that. So let's get back to generating this. Let's start, first of all, let's bring this back up just as a reference. So the test is already existing, so I don't think we need to mess with the test anymore. We've added our little data provider, so now it's a matter of like, what can we write to start getting this to kind of work the way we want? And this is where the query statement probably starts to matter. So I think what we should do is, okay. So this output's totally fine, but it would be nice to send it in the context. And the question is, do I have the context? I do. I have the controller and the method name to kind of know what's happening here. So the controller name, didn't I make a method in here for like model name or something? I got a kind of class name. I thought I did that somewhere. Class name is the controller name, and it chops off controller. Or no, it doesn't. It adds controller. Interesting. I need to make like a helper class that just like I can send it names and get a controller name and get a model name. I think that might be something I do here pretty soon, because I feel like I've written this method and like a model name method like 6 times, and they're everywhere in the code. So let's go see if that's legit. Yeah, see, here's a model. Here's one that does a model name. Like, really annoying. Okay, let's do this. First of all, let's format that back the way it should have been. And now let's just start generating this out. So I can assume, right now I'm just going to assume post here, which is pretty ugly. But the point here is that I'm going to generate code, and I'm basically going to say posts equals to post colon colon, and then we start adding a bunch of things. And now we're going to like for each over the clauses as clause let's just kind of see how close this gets. And we'll say code dot equals basically the method. This kind of becomes the method and then the value. So that's going to equal to explode on colon and clause. Nice. And then that's pretty simple. We just say method dot equals opening brace. And then if there's a value, which there should be, yeah, so far we've never written anything that doesn't have a value. So, but that value potentially needs to do like some different things. So let's return code. Let's tack on the get at the end, although Pluck needs to be at the very end. So that's kind of interesting. So basically if there's a Pluck, I need to skip it in here. All right. So this is where it gets interesting. Also, if there's a where, I want to kind of like fudge that into a two-parter. Same with order by, or well, not same with order by, but okay. So let's just list all these out, and let's try to just at least get this output for today, and then I might knock off here because I'm a little hazy on all this, and I feel like I'm having the issue Monday where I'm getting stuck on like all these things that are left to do, and it's feeling overwhelming for some reason. Let's do limit or take. Are take and limit the same thing? I feel like one's a collection method and one's Laravel, eloquent, limit. Yeah, one's a builder, limit. Order by, get, limit. Having, skip and take. Skip and take. To limit the number of results returned from a query or skip a given number of results in the query, you may use skip and take methods. Alternatively, you may use limit and offset. So really they're just the same names for different things. So we have limit and take and offset and skip are the same. So those are the pairings of the same thing. And then finally we have Pluck, which Pluck does seem to be a real thing. If you want to retrieve a collection value of a single column, you may use the Pluck method. Yeah, so we can use Pluck directly on the DB query. So we actually need to be mindful that we're going to use Pluck instead of get. So where was that? So we actually don't use get here. We would immediately say Pluck. I think is probably the right way you want to write that. Okay, so where needs to split on any column name. Same with order. And same with Pluck. Okay, so let's do that. Otherwise, we just straight output the value. Okay, so let's say if in array method is any of those I just said, so where or order or Pluck, then I basically need to do this, normalize column name, or let's just say column name. And I know I've written this method before as well, so all these just need to go in like my own little like string helper. But anyways, let's send in value and let's get value back. I'll just write that method up here in a second. But while I'm thinking about it, the other thing that's a bit different is if method, all these so far are names the same name, but I probably will allow a shorthand or just order. I don't know. So far we haven't had anything like in our definitions that are caps like that, so I just kind of want to tidy that up. So let's change the method to be equal to order by. Cool, so just a little bit there. And then now really it should be as simple as just saying dot value and then dot that. So we don't need to worry about those anymore because those are just straight values. The where clause. The where clause isn't that easy. The where clause actually has to be something a bit more interesting. Okay. So if, let's just do this again. If method, just write it the naive way. So if method is where, then this code is just a bit different. It's actually going to say something more along the lines of whatever the name was or the value that you passed in. So it'll be like a quoted value. And then dot, comma, and then the actual value. So that's a little weird. And let's just do an else here. Again, I'm going to come back and clean this up later, but I just kind of want to get close enough here. Whoops. This clauses. And get close enough here where let's add this method, and we'll basically just say something like if str contains a dot, then we basically want to do return str after dot, whoops, str value, yeah, otherwise return the value. Okay, let's run this and just see how much explodes. Sweet, too few functions to support contains, okay, no problem. So the haystack is value, the needle is the dot. All right, let's see how it did. Post where title, where, okay, so I'm missing several things here. First of all, I'm missing a closing code arrow, which is kind of lame to put that there. I really don't want to have to say something stupid like first. So annoying. I could implode them later if I just build them up. Trying to think of the easiest thing to do. Easiest thing to do is probably just implode them later. Yeah. Let's just do that. Let's just do methods equals an array. And at the very end here, we'll say methods, push on that code, and then down here we'll say something like code, or well shit, I can't use code. I can't use code outside of there. Arrgh. We don't need all that anyways. Let's do this. It's all just right there, so let's back this off. Let's do this and this, and we don't need code anymore. And here we'll say code equals post colon colon, and then code dot equals implode the methods with a comma, or not a comma, sorry, with an arrow, and then tack on the get. But this only needs to happen, so to do only if no pluck. All right, cool. Let's see if that goes a little farther. Okay, so we have post where blah 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 blah. All right, so I forgot some stuff here. Post equals, and then this to do leverage model slash context dot dot dot. All right, let's run this again. So post equals post where. So I just have some mess up here. This can't be done in this capacity. That needs to be written more like this. So now we have post where title is title, where content is content. Order by publish at needs to be quoted. So it looks like order by needs to be 1 as well. So I'm just trying to get a feel for like how many of these methods need to be different. You know what? Let's just call this order. Why did it just do that? Else. And I don't need this anymore. So let's just, right now there is no support for order by, so let's just do it our way. And this will be the same thing, just quoted. Pluck actually needs it quoted as well. So pretty much all these methods need to have special quoting. So again, we're seeing some opportunities to like break those down, but let's just call this order by. We'll pluck all that out, and there's really no reason to do any kind of string concatenation anymore. So let's just get all that in one, and we'll put it that way. All right, let's see what this looks like. Post where title, title where content, order by, published at, limit 5, get. Very nice. All right, and then down here we have post where title, title, take 3, pluck ID. So again, we're missing pluck being quoted, and we probably don't need to do that get anymore. And I'm noticing that we're missing a semicolon. Sweet. Okay, so let's do this. Let's try to get this tidied up just a bit more, and then I'll call it quits for today. Because this was a bit slow. That's all right. It happens. Can't be super coders every day. So let's just say something like array. I can't even do array search because it's not even that simple. It's kind of like I think the simplest thing to do. I'm just going to track a flag here. This is all very ugly. Let's just say something here like check this out. This is gross. Has pluck or let's bitwise or it with basically the method is equal to pluck. Oh, that's nasty. All right, cool. And then here we'll say if code, or well, wait, if not has pluck, boom, check out that grossness. All right, let's check this out. Okay, so we have get up top, and down here we just have pluck. And so the last thing to do is to quote pluck. I'm not going to worry about that right now. I think that'll be the straw that broke the camel's back. I mean, we can throw this in here very quickly. Just pluck and pluck the value. Plucky. All right, there we go. Now it's quoted. Nice. So that works out pretty well. So again, there's some assumptions that are being made here, as we can see from the to-dos. We definitely need to leverage the model context, and we didn't get back to that eloquent saving or even that find just yet. So there's some things we need to do there. Let's see how easy it might be to do that find just real fast. So let's do that. So let's just say same thing here. If it's find, all that's good. And this will just be find, and we're going to assume it's by the reference. Or wait, no. Reference is not. That's interesting. Reference in this case was just ID. So this is another example that's not going to have um, what we want. So let me just demonstrate what I'm talking about here. So let's leave this a $sign, and let's out this as a dot equals this reference to kind of show you what I'm talking about. So let's run that, and now we get this find out there, but notice this post.id and post.id. So there's some work that needs to happen here to make this a little bit cleaner. We talked about something really cool, like that's post IDs because of the Pluck. So there's a lot of things that we can do that are still here. So, but the nice thing is that, you know, this is all kind of that last 10% of polish, and this is really what's going to differentiate it. So I'm expecting that this is pretty, some of these pieces are pretty cumbersome, you know, because like we had a lot of momentum there for a couple days, but you know now it's back to the nitty gritty details, and some of that stuff just takes time. You know, that last 10% is no different than, you know, styling the front end or whatnot. So you know, that's okay. This is going a little slower. So we'll go again tomorrow. I'll try to do some of this on my own a little bit just to push a little farther. But again, once this is generated, like, I mean, this is close. This is very, very close to I'll probably push a beta out next Monday. People can check it out during the holidays while I go back and finish up the rest. So again, if you have any ideas for anything else, definitely go out, check the open issues, open up issues of your own. I know there were some suggestions. So if you like all that stuff with like the, you know, that resource thing that we talked about, you know, anything I'm talking about here, don't hesitate to go out, open up an issue just to remind me, because you know it's very possible I'll forget some of these things as well. So please follow along and help out that way. You know, again, every little bit helps. So thank you all again for joining the live stream, and I'll see you all tomorrow.